Thanks, Paula. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that maintenance being the redheaded stepchild. Spent half of my career in maintenance, and before the gray started coming in, I was a redhead. I don't think I'm a
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a stepchild, but I haven't researched it either. Um, but all good points. And the last point about reliability being everybody's responsibility, I think that is, that I agree with that very much. And hopefully I get to describe that a little bit. So before I start, a little commercial about us and Nova Scotia Power and our parent company, Emera. Nova Scotia Power is a utility in Nova Scotia, far east coast of Canada. And Emera, our parent company, is Nova Scotia based but operates through the Northeast, in Florida and New Mexico, and very significant energy player in the Caribbean as well. But today I'm going to talk about Nova Scotia Power in particular. And from our perspective, the changing landscape of generation is important to this conversation and drives our strategic goals and objectives in our business. And so if anybody in the generation business, the legacy generation business, your life is probably changing, how you use your units, prepping for retirement, and managing your assets in an effective way and their performance through to a retirement date without stranding investment. So lots of challenges in our business and our industry in particular. And that's relevant to this conversation because at Nova Scotia Power, we thought about the challenges looking forward. And as a result of that, around 2010, we started thinking about how we manage, maintain and sustain our generation assets in a different way, in a more holistic way that addressed those challenges that I mentioned. And so we designed an asset management program that's very holistic, to some degree follows the principles and tenets of ISO 55000 and past 55 before that. But the point is that we endeavored to consider all operational and maintenance and planning and engineering activities and how they're interrelated and linked together, and how by doing those things we can be more effective in our operation and the utilization of our assets. And because today's conversation is about operations and maintenance, I thought I'd talk about just one of the elements in our asset management pyramid that's called maintenance strategy. And it certainly is one of the most critical aspects in our asset management pyramid. And I think it best depicts our integration with operations and maintenance and how that contributes to something that's better than the sum, that's better than the individual parts done independently. So I'm going to dial in on maintenance strategy, but before I do that, I just wanted to say that that our view of asset management is to consider all areas of our work that contributes to the health and the care of our assets. So in our asset management pyramid has layers: a work management layer, a reliability layer, a technology layer, an information management layer, performance management layer, if you like, asset planning at the top and near the top, and above that, of course, a strategy element that guides these things below. And just to pick up on this morning's discussion, which I thought was very interesting and thoughtful, that the technology piece, although we view ourselves as an adopter, the technology piece or the digitization we do not view as an end goal unto itself, but something that you deploy and enhance and make better with much broader goals and objectives. So I just wanted to emphasize that thought from this morning. It really resonated for me and does for our organization. But getting into just one aspect of asset management called maintenance strategy, I'd like to dive into that just a little bit. So maintenance strategy, what is maintenance strategy? So those folks in the maintenance or reliability business would understand this fairly well. But most of the pillars in maintenance strategy are in these categories. So preventative maintenance and predictive maintenance, and a whole host of surveillance activities, and increasingly, on the far left, what we call digital strategies, maintenance strategies. And why talk about this in this conversation? Well, as we design our maintenance strategies, we're thinking about what maintainers do and what operators do and what reliability specialists do and what our technologies do for us. And as we think about our equipment, we think about their failure mechanisms, and we apply one or more of these strategies to defend against or protect us against those failure mechanisms. And so if you're doing that in a way that considers both maintenance and operations as well as other things, then you're optimizing your maintenance strategy. And that means you're optimizing your resources, your labor resources, and your other technologies. So we certainly endeavor to do that in our business. And increasingly, we're trying to, what we say, move to the left in our maintenance strategy. And that is, we're looking how digital approaches can actually displace preventative maintenance or predictive maintenance or traditional surveillance activities where the operators would normally live. And as we do that, we're actually freeing up those resources to do more value-add things. So maintainers fixing things that we know are broke, as opposed to spending their time on preventative maintenance to find what's not ideal. And now we're freeing our operators to spend more time in traditional maintenance areas as we reduce their areas in the surveillance activities. Some other value adds here. As we move to the left in our maintenance strategy, we do get to earlier detection of impending problems. And of course, that provides great value for the business, because we find those problems earlier, means we can plan better, means we fix them before they advance in their failure mechanism, as reliability people would know. I think it's important to add as well that as you move to the left in this strategy, you're actually, from an operational cost perspective, you're reducing your cost. So preventative maintenance, labor-intensive activities cost more. Digital strategies actually cost less once you've deployed. And for some organizations, moving your dollars from OPEX to CAPEX has another value, and certainly in the regulated business like ours, that's very true. So that's a view of maintenance strategy, and there's some obvious value adds for the business in there. I do want to also talk about this element in asset management, and that is risk profiling. So one of the fundamental activities in asset management is to understand all of your significant assets in terms of risk. And certainly that's what we endeavor to do. So all significant assets, where is their risk? What is the risk they offer to the business? It's important, if you look in the lower right there, it's important to note that your maintenance strategies, if they're well designed and deployed, are what deliver the intelligence to understanding risk. Looking at the risk chart there, on the horizontal axis is condition or health, on the vertical axis is criticality. Well, criticality in most organizations is not too difficult to determine. Understanding health in relatively real time, or as soon as possible, is much more difficult. So by deploying maintenance strategy and having your operations and maintenance staffs comply with those maintenance strategies, really gives you a leg up on understanding the condition or health of your assets, which is crucial to understanding risk. And in our business, we endeavor to make risk-based decisions in all things. And in that way, we believe that we achieve, in our business, lowest long-term cost to our customers. So we're a regulated business. cost to customer is everything for us. So I just want to point out here that that maintenance strategy is not just about caring for the assets, but it's about delivering intelligence to your understanding of condition and ultimately determination of risk. So because we're at a conference talking about digital, I did want to add that in a digitally transforming maintenance strategy, and certainly that is our endeavor at Nova Scotia Power, I use this graphic to illustrate that we're actually trying to reduce the footprint of traditional maintenance strategies in favor of our digital strategies on the far left. And just a note on them, advanced pattern recognition, which many organizations are using today, is a valuable tool, and it's able to displace traditional maintenance activities or maintenance strategies. Rules engines are becoming more popular and available to us, and the tools and asset performance management systems enable that. And ultimately, and at the bottom of the digital strategy, we talk about prognostics. The industry is very immature in this space today, but all the activities that lead us to doing well in advanced pattern recognition and deploying rules engines, in other words, delivering intelligence to some place to apply those tools, those basics will apply to prognostics as that capability in our industry grows. Wanted to move on. So in support of our digital strategies, the landscape in our plants and in our other operations, transmission distribution world continues to evolve as well. And so the power plant of the past, for example, is changing with respect to information. So today, wireless sensors providing information via wireless networks, SCADA systems, other integrations into our business networks, historians, enabling APMs, et cetera, et cetera. This is the build-out that is going on, certainly in our organization, but it's the build-out that's going on in many other organizations and will continue to accelerate, and is a topic of many discussions this week. So certainly this is the journey that we are on. And our ultimate goal here, and this certainly gets back to deploying your maintenance strategy and how everybody participates in that in a well-designed way. The end goal here, or one of the end goals, is to have everything we know about our equipment in a singular location, or at least an accessible location. So in this picture, for example, one pump and all the red and green lights are really an overview illustrating everything that we know about that pump, whether it's predictive maintenance information, whether it's information from advanced pattern recognition, whether it's round compliance by operators, whether it's the backlog information from our work management system. So this visualization, I think, is useful in understanding what we're trying to achieve in deploying sophisticated maintenance strategies. We're trying to inform decision-making tools. And this is part of our APM system here. The value add for that, and again, a value add for both maintainers and operators, is that we're able to make decisions about our equipment that we weren't in the past. So again, this knowledge of our assets, now we're able to apply rules in rules engines and calculate risk. So which assets are the most important assets that we need to be going after next week? And so that now we're using the information to inform maintenance what to do. The intelligence that operations are gathering is contributing to an understanding of risk, and therefore we're better able to service the operation. Finally, a final picture here, and this is, for us, we call this the Holy Grail, and that is understanding the risk of all of our significant equipment at any given time. So by applying these tools, we're now able to calculate in real time the risk for thousands of assets across our fleet in the same way, delivering it to both our weekly planning processes, but also our engineering processes, again, so that we're optimizing our resources. So this is one of the end goals for us. How am I doing on time?
You're doing good.
Okay, 5 minutes? Or? Okay. So just doing time check. So all good things. The other thing that we're seeing as we integrate systems, we're enhancing our ability to both calculate metrics and things like rules engines, but also to visualize metrics via dashboards and scorecards, et cetera. So this same integration that we aspire to achieve for reliability and asset performance management purposes is also enabling us on a measurement, from a measurement perspective, on many other levels. And so because we've had traction in the technical areas, we're now able to reach into other systems like financial systems and human resource systems and build out our metrics even further. So now we have an integrated view of technical measures with other performance measures in the business. And our goal here and what we've achieved is singular management scorecards which integrate safety, environmental measures, asset performance, productivity, work management measures, et cetera, et cetera. So the processes around this provide now for managers singular scorecards for all the things that they need to do to understand how their plants are performing and enable them to make decisions against this quality information. So just to conclude on the better together value discussion, certainly the theme is about ops and maintenance and having those people understand how they fit in the bigger asset management picture and having them believe that their work contributes is valuable for us. But really, it's about more than ops and maintenance. It's ops and maintenance and engineering and planning. So the together piece is about the entire operation, and that's the principle by which we try to operate. And just by way of summary, the value discussion around that, well, for us, it's about risk-based decision making. So the ability to make risk-based decisions about next week's work, the ability to inform annual reviews of health by technical people ensures that we're making the best decisions possible. And again, in most environments, transparency is very important. So being able to illustrate to your stakeholders that you have rigorous process around those basic decision-making activities we view as really important. So short-term maintenance, investment, outage decisions, for us, even retirement planning and operating guidelines are all driven out of this comprehensive view of risk. I think the other thing that, the other value that we're bringing here is a picture of diligence. So being able to demonstrate to your stakeholders that you're operating diligently in every way possible. Measurement and reporting and that enabling management is crucial and enables managers to focus on fixing problems as opposed to spending a lot of time and energy on identifying problems. So that's certainly a part of the value proposition. And finally, and certainly not the least, is performance management. And so for us, our assets performing well is absolutely mission critical. And you can do a lot of good things in your business, but if it's not impacting on performance in the right direction, then it may be for naught. So that is impacting performance for us is one of our huge drivers. So that's my discussion, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, Rob.